In the village of Ezinne, there lived a girl named Adanna who could see tomorrow, but what she saw every night made her wish she had been born blind. Every evening at exactly 9 p.m., Adanna would see a vision of someone's death, and it would happen exactly 24 hours later. The villagers called her cursed, but what they didn't know was that Adanna was about to see something that would change everything, her own death. Adanna sat on her wooden stool, staring at the dying embers of the evening fire. The other girls her age were laughing somewhere in the distance, their voices carried by the warm night breeze, but Adanna knew better than to join them. In 30 minutes, at exactly 9 p.m., the visions would come. Her grandmother, Mama Nkechi, watched her with worried eyes. Adanna, my child, you look pale again. Have you eaten today? Adanna forced a smile. Yes, Mama Nkechi. I'm just tired. But tired was not the word. Terrified was more accurate. For 3 years now, since her 16th birthday, the same thing happened every single night. At 9 p.m. sharp, her mind would be flooded with images of death. Someone in the village, sometimes someone she knew, sometimes a stranger, would appear in her vision, and she would see exactly how they would die the next day. The first time it happened, she had thought it was just a nightmare. She had seen old Papa Emeka falling from his palm tree, blood pooling beneath his head. She had woken up screaming, her clothes soaked in sweat. When Papa Emeka actually died the next day, falling from the exact same tree in the exact same way, Adanna knew she was cursed. The grandfather clock in the corner chimed 9 times. Adanna's heart began to race. Mama Nkechi, I need to rest, she said quickly, rushing to her small room behind the main hut. She barely made it to her mat before the vision hit her like a lightning bolt. Flash. A young woman, maybe 25 years old, walking through the forest. Adanna recognized her. It was Obioma, the seamstress who lived near the market. In the vision, Obioma was collecting firewood, humming a soft tune. Suddenly, a massive tree branch cracked above her head. Obioma looked up just in time to see her death approaching. The branch crashed down, and Obioma's song was silenced forever. Adanna gasped, her eyes flying open. Her body was trembling and cold sweat covered her skin. Tomorrow, at exactly this time, Obioma would die unless, but there was no unless. Adanna had tried everything. She had warned people directly, but they called her crazy. She had tried to prevent the deaths indirectly, but somehow fate always found a way. If she stopped someone from going to the forest, they would find another way to die at the exact same time. Death, it seemed, was not negotiable. The next morning, Adanna walked through the village with heavy steps. She saw Obioma at her shop, alive and smiling, completely unaware that she had less than 12 hours to live. Good morning, Adanna, Obioma called out cheerfully. You look troubled, my dear. Is everything all right? Adanna's throat felt dry. How do you tell someone they're going to die? How do you explain that you've seen their last moment? Obioma, maybe you should stay home today. Don't go to the forest, Obioma laughed. The forest? I wasn't planning to go to the forest. I have too much work here. She gestured to the pile of clothes waiting to be sewn. Relief washed over Adanna. Maybe this time would be different. Maybe Obioma wouldn't go to the forest after all. But at 4 p.m., Adanna saw Obioma walking toward the forest path, carrying a basket. Adanna's heart sank. She ran after her. Obioma! Wait! The seamstress turned around, surprised. Adanna, what's wrong? Please don't go to the forest. Please. Something terrible will happen. Obioma's face softened with concern. Child, you've been acting strange lately. My little sister asked me to collect some special herbs for her sick baby. I have to go. It will only take a few minutes. No, please, I'm begging you. But Obioma was already walking away. I'll be careful. Don't worry. Adanna followed at a distance, her heart pounding. She watched Obioma enter the forest, humming the same tune from the vision. Adanna wanted to scream, to run, to do something. Anything, but she felt paralyzed by the weight of knowing what was coming. At exactly 9 p.m., just as the vision had shown, the massive tree branch cracked. Obioma looked up. Their eyes met for a split second. Obioma's filled with terror, Adanna's filled with tears. The branch fell. Adanna closed her eyes and turned away, but she couldn't close her ears to the sound. When the villagers found Obioma's body, they shook their heads and called it a tragic accident. But Adanna knew the truth. She had seen it coming, and she had been powerless to stop it. Word began to spread through the village about Adanna's strange warnings. Some people started to fear her, whispering that she brought bad luck. Others thought she was touched by spirits. A few believed she was simply losing her mind. Her best friend, Kioma, was one of the few who still visited her. Adanna, people are starting to say terrible things about you. They say you're a witch. Adanna laughed bitterly. If I were a witch, don't you think I would use my power for something better than watching people die? Then what is it? What's happening to you? Adanna wanted to tell Kioma the truth, but how could she? How could she explain that every night at 9 p.m. she became a window into death itself? That she had seen 17 people die in the past 3 years, and not once had she been able to save them? I can't explain it, Kioma, but I need you to promise me something. If I ever tell you to stay away from somewhere or not to do something, please listen to me. Kioma looked confused but nodded. Of course, we're friends. That night, as 9 p.m. approached, Adanna prayed to every ancestor she could think of. Please, not Kioma, anyone but Kioma. But prayers had never stopped divisions before. The clock chimed 9 times and the world went black. Flash. She saw herself. Adanna was standing at the edge of the village well, staring down into the dark water. In the vision, she looked peaceful, almost relieved. Slowly, she stepped forward and let herself fall into the well. The water closed over her head and everything went silent. Adanna woke up screaming. For the first time in 3 years, she had seen her own death. Mama and Kichi rushed into the room. Adanna, what's wrong, my child? Adanna was hyperventilating. She had seen her own death. Tomorrow at 9 p.m., she would walk to the village well and end her own life. But why? In the vision, she had looked peaceful, as if she wanted to die. What could happen between now and then that would make her choose death? Mama Nkechi? Adanna said, her voice shaking. I need to tell you something. I should have told you years ago. And for the first time, Adanna told someone the complete truth. She spoke about the visions, about the deaths she had seen, about the guilt that ate at her soul every single day. Mama Nkechi listened in silence, her old eyes growing wider with each word. When Adanna finished, Mama Nkechi was quiet for a long time. Finally, she spoke. My child, I believe you, and I think I know why this is happening to you. Adanna looked up, hope flickering in her eyes for the first time in years. Your great-grandmother, Adanna, you were named after her, had the same gift. She could see death before it happened. But she learned something that you haven't learned yet. What? Death is not your enemy, Adanna. You are not meant to stop death. You are meant to help people prepare for it. Adanna felt confused. But watching people die and doing nothing, it's torture. No, my child, you've been thinking about this all wrong. The gift is not about saving lives. It's about saving souls. Mama Nkechi led Adanna to an old wooden chest in the corner of the hut. Inside were dozens of letters, yellowed with age. These are letters your great-grandmother wrote to the families of people whose deaths she had seen. She would visit them the day before the death and help them say goodbye, help them forgive old grudges, help them make peace with their ancestors. Adanna picked up one of the letters. It was written to a woman whose husband was going to die. The letter explained that he had one day left and suggested that they should spend it talking about their children, their memories, their love. At the bottom, her great-grandmother had written, "Death is not the end of love. It is love's graduation to something greater." But why did I see my own death? Adanna asked. Mama Nkechi's face grew sad. Because you have been carrying this burden alone for too long. Your soul is tired, child. It wants to rest. But there is another way. What way? Accept your gift. Stop fighting it. Use it to bring comfort instead of carrying guilt. That night, as 9 p.m. approached, Adanna made a decision. Instead of dreading the vision, she would embrace it. She would stop seeing it as a curse and start seeing it as a responsibility. The vision came as usual, but this time Adanna watched carefully. She saw herself at the well, but now she understood why she looked peaceful. In the vision, she was not committing suicide. She was releasing the burden she had carried for so long. She was letting go of the guilt and accepting her role as a bridge between life and death. The next day, Adanna did something she had never done before. Instead of trying to prevent her death, she decided to honor it. She visited Mama Ekene, an old woman whose death she had seen the week before. But instead of warning her about her death, Adanna simply spent time with her. Mama Ekene, tell me about your children. The old woman's eyes lit up. For hours, they talked about Mama Ekene's life, her joys, her regrets, her hopes for her children. When evening came, Mama Ekene looked at Adanna with tears in her eyes. Thank you, my child. I feel like I've been heard today. Whatever tomorrow brings, I am at peace. The next day, Mama Ekene died peacefully in her sleep, surrounded by her family. But this time, instead of feeling guilt, Adanna felt something different. She felt honored to have been part of Mama Ekene's final day. Word spread through the village about Adanna's visits with Mama Ekene. People began to see her differently. Instead of fear, they felt curiosity. Instead of suspicion, they felt respect. Months passed, and Adanna's role in the village changed completely. People began to seek her out, not because they were afraid of her visions, but because they understood her gifts. When someone was gravely ill, families would ask Adanna to visit. She never told them about the visions directly, but she would know how to help them prepare. She helped a father write letters to his unborn grandchildren. She helped a mother teach her daughter the family recipes one last time. She helped an old man make peace with his brother after 20 years of silence. Each time, death still came exactly as she had seen it. But now, instead of arriving as a thief in the night, death came as a guest who had been properly welcomed. Kioma visited one evening. Adanna, you look different. You look lighter? Adanna smiled. I finally understand my purpose, Kioma. I'm not here to fight death. I'm here to help death be a celebration of life instead of a tragedy. The whole village is talking about you. They say you have become a bridge between this world and the next. Maybe I have, and maybe that's exactly what I was always meant to be. 1 year later, as 9 p.m. approached, Adanna no longer felt afraid. She had helped dozens of families prepare for loss, and each time she had seen how death could be transformed from an enemy into a teacher. The vision came, and for the first time in 4 years, Adanna saw something completely different. She saw herself, but she was old, surrounded by children and grandchildren. She was teaching a young girl about the gift of sight, explaining how to use it with wisdom and compassion. The young girl had the same look in her eyes that Adanna had once had, the look of someone who could see beyond the veil. In the vision, old Adanna smiled and said, "The gift is not a cursed child. It is love in its most difficult form. Use it well." Adanna opened her eyes and realized that for the first time ever, she had seen life instead of death. She had seen her future, her purpose, her legacy. She walked outside and looked up at the stars. "Thank you," she whispered to her great-grandmother, to her ancestors, to whatever force had given her this gift. From that night forward, Adanna's visions changed. She still saw deaths, but now she also saw moments of beauty, acts of kindness, births, weddings, and celebrations. The gift had evolved because she had evolved. 20 years later, Adanna had become the most respected elder in Ezinne village. People traveled from neighboring villages to seek her wisdom. She had helped hundreds of families transform their understanding of death from fear to acceptance. She never married, but she was never alone. She was surrounded by the love of a community that had learned to see death not as an ending, but as a transition. And when her own time came, Adanna faced it with the same peace she had helped others find. She had lived long enough to pass her gift to another young girl, just as she had seen in her vision years before. The villagers said that on the night Adanna died, the stars shone brighter than anyone had ever seen them. They said it was the ancestors welcoming home someone who had served as their messenger for so many years. But the girl who inherited Adanna's gift knew the truth. The stars weren't shining for Adanna's death. They were shining for her life, a life that had transformed the greatest curse into the greatest blessing. And in the village of Ezinne, death was no longer feared. It was honored, welcomed, and celebrated as the final chapter of every beautiful story. The story of Adanna teaches us that sometimes our greatest burdens can become our greatest gifts. What seems like a curse may actually be a calling, and sometimes the most difficult paths lead to the most meaningful destinations. I hope you enjoyed this tale of transformation and acceptance. If this story touched your heart, please like this video, share your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe for more stories that explore the mysteries of life and death. Remember, every ending is also a beginning, and every goodbye is also a thank you. Until our next tale, may you find peace in life's greatest mysteries.